The rain fell in sheets across New Seattle's lower district, where the neon signs flickered against puddles that reflected 1,000 colors. Marcus Chen stood in the doorway of his modest apartment building, grocery bags cutting into his palms. When he saw her, a small figure huddled beneath the broken awning across the street. At first glance, she looked human enough, but Marcus had lived in this city long enough to recognize the telltale signs. The faint iridescence of her skin under the streetlights, the way her fingers had one too many joints, the subtle ridge along her jawline that marked her as Velaran. His daughter Emma tugged at his jacket. "Daddy, that girl looks cold," Marcus sighed. He had enough problems. A 5-year-old to raise alone, 2 jobs to juggle, and rent that seemed to climb higher every month. The galactic integration had brought alien refugees to Earth by the millions, and while Marcus held no prejudice, he also knew he couldn't save everyone. "Come on, sweetheart. Let's get inside," but Emma didn't move. She stared at the alien girl with those big dark eyes that had inherited her mother's stubborn compassion. Mama would help her. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Sarah had been gone for 2 years now, but her ghost still guided his conscience. He looked at the Velaran girl again. She couldn't have been more than 18 in human years, shivering in clothes that were threadbare and soaked through. "Wait here," he told Emma, handing her the groceries. The girl looked up as Marcus approached. Her eyes, large and amber with vertical pupils widening in fear. She scrambled to her feet, ready to run. "Easy," Marcus said, raising his hands. "I'm not going to hurt you. Do you speak English?" She nodded slowly, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes, I am sorry. I will move. When did you last eat?" The question seemed to confuse her. 3 days, 4? I am not certain." Marcus made a decision that would change his life forever. "I've got leftovers. Not much, but enough. Come on." The girl, she said her name was Lyra, had been in New Seattle for 6 months. She'd fled her homeworld when the Kryn Dominion had invaded, watching her family die in the bombardment. Earth had promised sanctuary, but sanctuary didn't include housing, jobs, or food. The refugee camps were overflowing, and those who couldn't find sponsorship often ended up on the streets. "You can stay on the couch," Marcus had told her that first night, "just for a few days until you figure something out." Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Lyra proved herself invaluable. While Marcus worked his shifts at the shipyard and drove freight at night, she watched Emma. She cooked meals from whatever ingredients she could find, creating dishes that somehow tasted like home despite being made from alien hands. She taught Emma to count in 3 languages, told her stories of distant worlds with purple skies and silver seas. "She's good for you," Marcus's neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, observed one evening. "Both of you. The apartment doesn't feel so sad anymore." Marcus had noticed it too, the laughter that filled the rooms. The way Emma smiled more. The way he'd started looking forward to coming home, knowing 2 people waited for him instead of just his daughter's lonely face pressed against the window. But he also noticed other things. The way Lyra's hand would linger on his shoulder when she handed him coffee. The way she'd learned to make his eggs exactly how he liked them without him ever asking. The way she'd look at him sometimes with an expression he couldn't quite decipher. Gratitude mixed with something deeper, something that made his heart race in ways it hadn't since Sarah. One evening after Emma had fallen asleep, Marcus found Lyra on the balcony staring at the stars. 3 moons hung in Earth's sky now, orbital stations that housed millions of off-worlders. "Having regrets?" he asked, joining her. "About coming here?" Lyra smiled sadly. "I have no home to regret leaving. It is ash now. I meant about staying here. With us." She turned to him, those amber eyes catching the moonlight. "This is the first place since the invasion where I have felt safe, wanted. You gave me that, Marcus. You and Emma. Your family now," Marcus said, and realized he meant it, whatever that means going forward. Lyra's hand found his, her extra joints folding around his fingers in a way that should have felt alien, but somehow felt right. "In Velaran culture, when someone saves your life, you owe them a blood debt. But this, what I feel, it is not debt." Marcus's breath caught. "Lyra, I know I am not human. I know people will talk, will judge. But I have watched you, Marcus Chen. I have seen how you sacrifice for your daughter, how you work yourself to exhaustion, how you still find room in your heart for a homeless alien. You are the best man I have ever known. I'm just doing what anyone would." No. Her grip tightened. Most would not. Most did not. You did. They stood there in silence, the city humming below them, the weight of possibility hanging in the air between them. Marcus thought of Sarah, of the promise he'd made to always honor her memory. But he also thought of the future, of the life growing in this apartment, of the woman beside him who had become so much more than a roommate. Emma asked me something today, Lyra said softly. She asked if you could marry an alien. If it was allowed. What did you tell her? I told her that love does not ask permission from governments or societies. It simply exists. Marcus turned to face her fully, his heart pounding. And what would you tell her if she asked what love looks like? Lyra's smile was radiant, her iridescent skin glowing faintly. I would tell her to look at her father, at how he opened his door to a stranger, how he turned a refugee into family, how he loved without condition or expectation. Lyra, You do not have to say anything, she interrupted gently. I know this is complicated. I know there are considerations. Emma, society, your late wife's memory. I am content to simply be here, in whatever capacity you need. But Marcus realized he wasn't content with that anymore. Somewhere between the grocery bags and the late-night conversations, between teaching her Earth customs and learning about the stars she'd left behind, he'd fallen for this alien girl who'd been homeless and hopeless until she wasn't. What if I want more? He asked. The hope that bloomed across Lyra's face could have lit the entire city. Then I am yours, Marcus Chen, for as long as you will have me. He kissed her then, under 3 moons and 1,000,000 stars, and it felt like coming home.